I'm not wearing any pants.
Hello, and here I am, and there you are. Go ahead and get organized here. By that I mean move all this stuff out of the way. You know, we almost don't even need an enemy, the way that we tend to build prisons and enslave our own brains. Impending doom, that's the way I feel. How about you all? How you guys doing? Yeah. We are going to begin. The last 100, I realized it was all, meaning several hundred pictures, were all of a place called the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, which is actually what you're looking at right here. And apparently there's more than 100 because here we are. And I skipped all of it. I ended up just railing at just going off on a tangent about current events, and I didn't post it. But I'm telling you this because here I am again, Rocky Mountain Arsenal. It's a place I wasn't aware of, but it's a government-owned installation that has like 17,000 acres in a place called Commerce City, which is north of Denver. And it was constructed in 1942 to manufacture war gas. Yeah, nerve gas and mustard gas and all sorts of nice, delicious concoctions. They leased it to a private industry. It still exists today, or at least at the time of the survey, in the 70s or 80s. And they basically began, I think in the 50s, it was reactivated for the Korean and Vietnam Wars, making incendiary stuff. And then they started using it to dispose of nerve gas had in the first place. Since the 70s is a detoxification center. And I think it's still active, or at least it was active in the 70s. So it's got 299 buildings. Half of them are from the 40s. These structures, built between 1910 and 1930, right in that sweet spot, contribute to a general understanding of the area's pre-military history, but they're not of any historical significance. And I didn't find any of it interesting. The production of mustard gas and all that, a 200-page write-up about it. I skipped it. I skipped all of it. But here we are again. We're at the damn arsenal. Now, hopefully you can forgive me for not being interested in the place that manufactured mustard gas. It's obviously a post-World War property. And aside from a few brick buildings, which probably were repurposed or wouldn't be on here, but aside from those, buildings used to make napalm, and a few rather suspicious foundations. It's not what I like to cover. There's a lot of things like, the $33 million building, of course, the detox building, yes, if you imagine that. And if I were in Denver, I'd be very concerned about this existing right just north of my city, but I'm not in Denver, thankfully. And I do sound bitter here, and I know it, and I am. But it did devolve from one of my favorite cities into maybe the biggest disappointment. I don't know, Nashville's pretty disappointing too. And soon all these cities will sell their souls, probably, and I'll just be a crusty old geezer, shaking my fist at the good old days, back when people gave a damn. But, I don't know, caustic fusion buildings? No thanks. And I'm a little bummed that they were even able to make each 300 buildings each have their own entry in the historic registry. What is that? It's things like crude mustard building, chlorine production cell building, communication building, cafeteria, fuel storage silo, the goop mining and filling building. I get you goop right here, buddy. Thionyl chloride refrigeration building, the acetylene scrubbing building, the distilled mustard residue building, burner building, the pesticide filling building, the wine phosphorus building, the building, the storage building, and so on and so forth until 299 boring names are recited. And apparently more than that, because here we are again. So yeah, pipes in this industry, and this ugly, nasty, dirty, industrial stuff. Some of it's kind of cool, I guess. If you guys are into pipelines, a lot of stuff going on here. Mazes like that. Sure, the technology is pretty cool in some ways, but not very pleasant to think about. Manufacturing of nerve and mustard gas. And my God, who graffitied on the wall? And it's not the subject matter. It's just rather asymmetrical. Where's the other nipple? The devil's in the details, Isn't that what they say? Idle hands of the devil's ding-a-ling. In any case, what do you do with 299 buildings? Really? Well, one's got to be the playground, and one's got to have a big phallic symbol outside of it. It's got nothing to do with anything. We want him to look like a minion that has goggles on. He's like, alright, fine. I'll go get my credentials. I parked right outside. Shield on the wall. Maybe it was like a Knights of the Templar thing. Actually, and I might just be imagining this, but it kind of looks like a double eagle thing here. Or maybe it's Wu Tang Clan. They're here to bomb atomically. Maybe they're here to bring the ruckus. Maybe the killer bees is on the swarm. I do like this doomsday sort of board.
Wu-Tang forever. Wu-Tang.
Hey yo, you may find it easy to misconstrue me. I handle the
Born from an old farm, the white line, toxicology report, and bribe tribes to conceal production of cyanide. Out and wide-eyed, eye for out, exposing all eyes. Climb with no fear, holding some cold beers up on thatched roofs, some stone shacks from old years. Take back the whole wolf pack we hold dear. There's so much energy in here. Hold on, we're so near. Disapprove of these mismatched stones, these bad loans they gave out for these third-class homes. Behold the urban blight in uncertain light. One just might get hurt and catch some tetanus tonight. The arsenal, chalky water fountains, causing untold deaths some folks, but who's counting? Cause men were dumb back then, Denver come from, beating out rhythms on this hollowed out drum. In the meantime, I've learned that this Rocky Mountain Arsenal is now like a park, a nature reserve, or a sort of a state park, national park. Wonder how that's working out. I really don't know. But as I plod through here, what I also have learned is that the very next 50 or 70 sites, which I don't know how they can get away with this. I mean, I guess it's their survey, they can do whatever they want, but we go back to that Fitzsimmons General Hospital that took up one of the earlier episodes of this, the prior volume of this Colorado. So I guess they really have just top-loaded this survey with just rustic and old military structures. I find it to be very baffling. So, of course, I'm going to have to return to Colorado and do more of a better dive on some of the historic buildings. Same stories in California. They really didn't do it justice, in my opinion, and really focused more on the industrial side of things and the narrative side of things, really, seeming to be very obsessed with it. There are a couple of interesting things at a few of these spots, but nothing I would really call, like, historical building or of interest to anyone in that regard. You've got things like Department of Energy and the various dozens of office buildings they have in Grand Junction. Literally, they'll have Department of Energy Grand Junction office building number 810. No lie, there's that many of them. And each of them has their own dedicated entry in the survey, which is baffling to me. And so naturally I got distracted and it turned into this. Hey, you guys are not allowed here, okay? Okay, bro. Well, hold up, Jasper. When that mouse comes out of this bucket, I'm gonna smack him on his head. Just give me a second. Alright, never mind. Ooh, beautiful lights. Oh, wait, hold on. The patient may no longer be alive. We have to leave now. I'm Dan. I work for loss prevention. You wouldn't believe the things I've seen. Watching high school kids put bottles of Diamond Tap in their pocket all day. But I don't want to talk about work. Let's talk about what happened last summer. You'll get the scalpel. No, you'll get the scalpel. Guys, when you guys get the fucking scalpel, you'll get the scalpel. You'll do it. You want me to pull it? Just say the word now, pull it. You want to do it on 3? Yeah, on 3 will do. Hey, look, Barry's eating my sandwich. Can you feel this or not? Interesting that they had to dig so low here. What is that? Why does that look so old and dirty? As if it's been covered up and they're digging it out? What is that? And I wouldn't be surprised, of course. It's probably why it's included on here. Yeah, just put those anyway, boys. What did you say make here again? Cyanide? Mustard gas? No big deal. It's not like they turned into a park one day or anything. What an insane operation. Hold on, cat. Something's not right here. I mean, why is this even in the survey? These aren't even buildings. And the buildings that are here just look old and beat up already. Just sign right here. It says that you took your top off of your own accord. Very strange. See this retaining wall here? That they had to dig this down so low. Like, why? Unless, like all things, even this, or at least parts of the structure, were already in existence. I mean, this isn't doing much to dispel that. Now, some of these are kind of interesting, of course. The little chapel. This has definitely got the little old world, what I call like the Alamo top. And these certainly look as if they're not modeled after, they were pre-existing. But I can't be certain about everything here. You know, some of these chimneys and things are kind of dead giveaways. Something was here first. Same with these kind of columns. I don't really see these everywhere. And some of the symbolism and like the fact that these are basically toroidal shapes. Presence of a golf course is ever suspicious. And also, what the hell's it doing here? And this is the pool portion. Was added later in like the 40s. Here's your old world chimney, sort of showcasing the idea that everything's not exactly as it appears. This is a bird reserve that they claim started out with 2 mallards and has since expanded to hosting all sorts of manner of ducks and geese. This is some of the officer housing. Not sure why they would build basements in these, what the need is. And now we're back at the Fitzsimmons General Hospital. that we spent so much time on already, and I'm not sure why. We're taking another look at it here in this survey, but that's where it led me, so here we are. This building maybe being one of the more interesting of them. And now it's all closed down, and it belongs to the army as some sort of base. I'm not sure what they're doing with it exactly, but this building is pretty amazing. From a bygone era, kind of got the candlestick thing going on. No doubt a fountain used to be here. And these are probably the earliest structures on the whole site. These are for officers, non-commissioned. They're built in 1900 out of this old stone. And yet they also have a basement that's basically the walls are full of rubble. So kind of need you to believe that at least these, in part, were there before. And we've been all through these. Apartment housing. Guess there's a few newer pictures, but overall, it's the same place, the same friggin' building. I am Robert Kennedy Jr. I fully endorse this message. It is a rare occurrence that when I come on YouTube here and try and recommend any speaker or idea, especially in the conspiratorial world. However, I personally endorse Jack here. His character and depth of his ideas are not to be taken lightly. Thanks, Rob. Now we got some more with a little juice, you know what I'm saying? A little pizzazz. Well, this here is a Weller foolproof offering here. The original weeded bourbon, it says here on the label. And no, I ain't talking about the building. I'm talking about this drink I'll never finish. You know, I just like to carry one around, you know, like Julian from Trailer Park Boys. Like Julian! Fucking ladies over there. Randy! This is Skyline Park. It was the entire park. Demolished in 2003. And one has to wonder why. Brick, a little bit Starfordish. Something funky going on here. And we're told that Lawrence Halprin, the internationally acclaimed, created this park, this orchestration of sculptural concrete forms, a contextually specific pedestrian system. Sorry to use such layman's terms, but during 1973, this park, I know it's not as old as we normally like to dive, but I do find it suspicious. Much was at stake in this period of intense urban change in Denver. And these photographs, I can't believe this thing, they destroyed it after 30 years. Literally says demolished. The story of Skyline Park's brief 30-year life bears witness to changing tastes and the evolution and destruction of downtown Denver. Who's responsible for this crap? And I don't know how much time I want to spend here, but whoa, look at that bad boy. That didn't scream old world. This guy carried on the work of the prior deep state actor, Olmsted. Miss Lawrence Halprin was born in Brooklyn, the oldest child of Samuel and Rose Halprin, at the Polytechnic Prep School for Boys. Pitcher of a baseball team and an aspiring painter, spent 3 years on an Israeli kibbutz, an experience which he attributes his passion for collective ways of working. Got his BA from Cornell, Master of Science from the University of Wisconsin, put together an unusual assortment of courses, botany, geology, geography, landscaping. Met his wife in 1940. She was a dancer, a dance choreographer, more specifically, breaking down barriers by removing dance from the theater and placing it into the city streets. Entering the sketchier and Hale Harvard's Graduate School of Design, enlisted in the Navy as a tour of the Pacific, moved to California, nurturing his avant-garde practices during his academic studies, opened a shop in San Francisco, published books about his thoughts and his works. Ghirardelli Square, San Francisco is credited as to one of his major center city successes. Now, originally this was a 36-block zone slated for demolition and rebuilding. So yeah, these are pretty much the foundations of old buildings. There, at the center of Denver's declining lower downtown area, stood the Daniels and Fisher's department store and its famous tower, which was the tallest structure in Denver, an inexact replica of the St. Mark's Basilica in Venice. Towers praised in Denver as a monument, distinctive feature of a beautiful city. Lower downtown, finally, was without a department store as the May Company moved up street and the tower stood empty. By the time of 1961, there were 1 million people in Denver. 9 years ahead of schedule. Urban renewal and curing the downtown blight, as we've heard so often, became a part of the plan. And, of course, 100,000 square foot park that they were planning, going to tear down the department store, leave the tower, and then disaster struck. 1965, the South Platte River overflowed its banks, the worst flood in the area's 100-year history, which created federal funding and a more favorable atmosphere for public approval of the renewal program. Not much of a disaster for these guys. And so, here it is. The city of Denver, full of douchebags, in the 90s, demolished the Central Bank building and turned into a parking lot instead of a classic historical building. And that became the end of the park, really. Everything felt empty, less comfortable, less inviting. Then Cherry Creek Shopping Center opened. Now the area is known as Lodo, or Lower Downtown, a mix of neighborhood residences and nightlife. And they decided to demolish this park, to replace it with street-grade expanses of open turf and paved athletic courts. And actually, the only 2 fountains remaining, they only turned them on for the Democratic National Convention that was held there. What a joke. These pictures are taken prior to the demolition, of course. And, of course, it's not really much of a park left, really, at this point. More of a, like, courtyard. And looking kind of just weirdly out of place. Even that building is weirdly out of place. And what was all this initially? I don't believe it was just a park. It's just too many strange little, like, what's the point of, I don't see it. I see the foundations of old buildings, sure. And it looks like they dug down and discovered that these old brick streets were probably actually underneath the dirt, so they excavated a lot of it. That'd be my guess. Probably a good chance that fountain was always there. It's probably the remains of some old Stafford type operation. I mean, it just looks too suspicious. It doesn't look interesting at all. It looks like ruins of like industry. Not like, oh god, the design on that's just gorgeous. A bunch of empty concrete boxes. It's a mall, Brian, but, what am I? Who am I? Just one opinion, Maybe